This is CJ's Diecast Garage. In this video, I'm going to be comparing two different Hot Wheels Ferrari 458 Italia GT2s. The one on the left, in yellow, isn't quite as detailed as the one on the right that has been featured on this channel as well, in red. And both of them are Hot Wheels, but as I was starting to do these videos and comparing, started to see all the differences. One of the most stark differences is the red Ferrari has the Michelin tires, the branding of Michelin on them, and so it gives that much more of a sense of a race car with the Michelin tires. Probably the most similar are actually just the body features, pretty much exactly the same. However, the detailing on the hood, as you can see here, the red one actually has the tie downs for the hood raised and they're chromed, and there's a lot more detail on them, whereas on the yellow one you can see it's just a print. There are no tie downs that are raised, it's just a print again on the hood. Another feature about the hood is the red one does come out the hood and you can see inside, whereas the yellow one does not. And on the side profile here, you can see the body is very similar to the red one, except for the paint color. On the back, the major differences we can see are the spoiler angle. The yellow one is kind of turned up at the front for, I don't know if that's purposeful or it's just a mistake in manufacturing, but also a significant difference on the back, as you can see the bottom black part where the muffler or the exhaust comes out. The other one is a full plastic, not see-through, whereas the red one is a mesh. So these are the differences of a more higher brand, technically, the red one, and a lower brand, the yellow one. Also on the front, just above the splitter, the red Ferrari has that same mesh, whereas the yellow one just has a solid plastic piece. It does have some texture on it to make it look like it's more like a mesh, but again, you cannot see through it. And unfortunate too that red cord that comes out of the hood is much longer, but again, unfortunately you can't open the hood and get into it. I've tried many times to see if I can pry it open and was not successful. The gas tanks on both sides also of the yellow one don't have that black paint in the middle as the red one does. So it just gives that little extra texture. And the back window here, you can see the yellow lines across the window, which are not visible on the red Ferrari. So there's some sort of texturing that they've done there and not been able to cover up some of their paint work. And so that's a lot less pleasing to the eye in a sense. You can see those lines, whereas on the red one you just see the black window lines across the engine. Another noticeable thing that's different is that the yellow 458 Italia GT2 doesn't actually have seat belts. The seats look similar, and they're the holes, the race seat holes for the seat belts to come through, but again there's no seat belts, whereas the red one has beautifully crafted seat belts with Say-Belt and the branding, and so that's a major difference between the two as well, that just gives that extra look of reality in the red Ferrari. And there's a little bit more detailing on the red Ferrari on the sides as well. Some markings in front of the front tire there, you can see there's some markings of ducts or lights, whereas on the yellow one there are none in that area. Another noticeable difference is that the red Ferrari has a little slit on the front left corner where the tow cable hook is, whereas the yellow one doesn't have it at all. And then another difference is on the back, the Ferrari symbol is actually raised and kind of like embossed on the red one, whereas the yellow one is just a print. And also below that, I'm not sure if it's a computer or a light on the back, but just looks far more detailed on the Ferrari in red. Another big difference in detail is that the red Ferrari exhaust system looks much more realistic, whereas the yellow one looks like it's just kind of like one piece kind of just glued on to that back part. So the detail on the red one with the separate pipes coming out, and also the holes in the pipes to make it look like there's actually air in there and not just a solid piece. So that's a major difference on the back here. I also just noticed that all the ducts on the, or the vents on the red Ferrari actually are cut through, and you can see just this black recess basically, because it's actually a hole. Whereas the yellow one, none of the ducts or the vents or the nakaduts on the front of the hood, or the sides of the hood, they're actually just kind of depressed, but they're not actually holes. Albeit you can't see from this angle, but the red Ferrari on the back window is actually lined on both sides by mesh, whereas the yellow one is just again solid plastic. As we look into the vehicles here, we can see on the red Ferrari there's a lot more cabling that's depicted in the back there against that silver backdrop, which is just the basic interior of a race car, whereas on the right here we can see that the yellow one doesn't have it. So it just goes to show that you can buy the same brand, and I'm not sure if one was an Elite Edition and one was not. I can't find the box right now, but of course, like when you are buying a car, that's just what happens. You don't realize how they've been made differently, or there's different models and different selling of them in terms of their quality of detail. So hopefully that helps you realize just how car collecting can be nuanced, and even the same car company can have different detailing. Sometimes you really like a particular car and it's only available in a certain mold and by a certain company, and so you just jump on it. But later there's more releases and more details on different cars, so that's where you can maybe sell off the one that you're not as content with the least detail, but at least you have in your collection. And sometimes it's just enough to have a variant of color, and like I said, I didn't even notice all the differences until closer inspection. And so maybe you're just content with getting the cheaper model that looks just as good in terms of the basics, but doesn't have all that extra detailing. Or maybe sometimes you're just like, you know what, I just really want all the detail and I'm willing to pay a higher price for it. So yeah, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this comparison of two Ferrari 458 Italia GT2s in the red and the yellow. Thanks for watching and have a good day.